This is Smithy.tv.
I'm Katie Ullman reporting for Katie Chats here in downtown Toronto at Smithy TV with actor-writer David Ingram.
Hi.
Hi. What inspired you to get into the acting and writing business?
I think, well, ever since I was a little kid, my friends and I were always putting plays on. Like on the top of his garage, we would put on like Star Wars plays and James Bond plays. I remember I was maybe like 8 years old, 8 or 9. And I was going to play James Bond. It was like black track pants and a white T-shirt and a black button down, like opened up, so it kind of looked like a tuxedo. And I had ketchup packets from McDonald's that I was like squirting all over when I got shot with blood, or shot with a bullet and bleeding all over. And it just sort of came out of that. But I was actually terrified of it as well. I hated public speaking, which was sort of, it's like the other side of that coin. And I think it was grade 6. I was doing a speech on humor, and I started with a joke that totally bombed. And I remember what the joke was. It was just, ladies and gentlemen, and this is awful, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bunch of 6-year-olds. Lend me your ears, but if you haven't washed them for a week, then never mind. I thought so. Yeah. And, you know, but I was 11. And it was just crickets. It was just dead silence. And I saw spots, and I passed out in front of the class. I just totally passed out. And then I was terrified of like public speaking and acting and all of that, like even in like grade 7 and early high school.
So how did you overcome this?
In high school, I just started taking like drama just for fun. I had friends that were taking it. So it sort of weaned me back into it. And then I took some acting classes in university, which is McMaster, so it's not really, you know, acting classes. It's
more like a theoretical program.
Yeah, it was sort of half and half. Yeah, and I just really got to enjoy it. And at the end of second year, when we had to declare or end of first year, we had to declare our major, and I was actually going to take English and philosophy, like a combined honors. And I walked into the office and I declared my major, and I walked out. And I turned around and I walked back in. I said, "Give me that back." And I crossed out English and I put on theater. So that was it.
And you recently started Retrograde Films. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start it and how you got together with both Kat and Tabitha and where the idea came from.
Sure. Yeah, Retrograde Films we started last year. Actually, I met Tabitha at a Christmas party through a mutual friend, an old roommate of mine. And she's a director, and I was just an actor at that point. And she'd had a script that she sort of thought I looked like the character in it. And so it's like, oh, we should do something together. And we wanted to do that film, and it never happened. But there was always something in mind. And in Vancouver, where I live, there's the Crazy Eights Film Festival, where you compete with your team. You have to give them a story idea, and they select 6 teams, which is kind of like a waste. It seems like it should be 8. But they only select 6. It's their fail. And if you get selected, then they give you, it used to be $800 and like, I don't know, 800 feet of film, and you've got 8 days, and it was a whole like kind of 8 theme. And we got through to the second round. We did the E-pitch, and then I went in and pitched in person to the panel, and we got that far with this particular story. And that was it. And then we decided just to kind of keep doing it anyway. Like we thought we could make this film kind of on our own terms, taking our own time, which is the 10,000 steps. Yeah.
And what have some of the challenges been in making a short independent film?
Well, there's primarily the 3 of us that created our Retrograde Films. It was just Tab and I originally. We were going to co-write it, but then I ended up just sort of taking over the writing duties. Once we sort of came up with the story together, like the general story arc, then I'm like, no, only the Coen brothers can sort of write together. So let me just do this. You're going to direct it. I'll write it. And it was last Christmas, I gave the script to a friend of mine, Kat Inikai, who's here in Toronto, and just to kind of get her opinion, see what she thought. And she loved it, and she's like, I want to produce it. I want to produce it. And she'd never produced anything before, but she's just that person that can get anything done, you know. She's just brilliant. So she kind of came on, and that's what really started the ball rolling. Yeah, so some of the problems when you've only got 3 people, Kat came out to Vancouver when we were actually shooting it, and we had a very limited crew, a fantastic crew, but really small, and we didn't have like a first AD because we couldn't find one. And we had a lighting guy who came in at the 11th hour. We were standing in the renting room, which is one of our sets, and we were going to do the location tour with the director of photography and our lighting guy, Andy. And we hadn't met him before, and we were standing there kind of waiting for him to come in, and he just kind of saunters in. He's got a scarf on and his hat and his sunglasses, and he's like, "So you guys making a movie?" And it was just like the coolest introduction to the coolest guy. So everyone was stretched really, really thin, ultimately. Like our first day of shooting, I was up at, we were going to actually shoot in my apartment that day, which I never do, and I would never do again.
Did it destroy your apartment?
Oh, totally, totally. And I'm a neat freak. Like I have like everything in its place, and I like if coasters are squared off, and you couldn't see the floor in my place. Yeah.
And tell me a bit more about 10,000 Steps. What is the story about?
It's a story about Henry, who we first meet him, and he's proposing to his girlfriend, and this isn't giving anything away because it's right at the beginning, and she just turns him down flat and breaks up with him. And it cuts to 11 months later, and he's just not able to move forward from this. He's just living this sort of meager life, and he's just retreated from his friends and his family, and he's just not letting himself move forward. And then he sees something that really spins him out, and then ends up back where he proposed and had his heart broken, and his life came crashing down. And this mysterious, magical, one could say, letter is going to fall in his lap that essentially tells him he's got 10,000 steps left to take in his life and to make them count. So this person that hasn't been able to make any forward progress sort of has to, but can't. So that's his struggle that he's got to deal with.
And are you hoping to develop more projects along the same lines in the future? Or are you looking to open up to different types of genres?
Yeah, definitely more projects. We're not sure about the same genre just because we don't know what the next project is, but that's why we created Retrograde Films. It's like if we're gonna, we work really well together, the 3 of us, and it's like, well, let's just keep doing this. So yeah, Kat incorporated us, and because she, like I said, she just does everything. And so we're kind of building up the skeleton of something to keep working on other projects in the future. We've got a couple of television show ideas that we want to develop and work on and see where it goes.
Great.
Yeah.
And where's the best place to find out more information on you and on Retrograde Films online?
On Facebook and Twitter are good ways to kind of get to the website. On what is it on Facebook? It's is it 10,000 Steps on Facebook? It could be. There's also walktillyouDrop.com, which actually is Kat's idea. It's a website that we have up that we're using as sort of an information forum for new and upcoming filmmakers to kind of follow our progress of making the film from inception until the time that we first show it. And people can kind of learn from what we do right and what we do wrong. There's video blogs, there's links for resources, there's written blogs about the experience of making the film. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Sure. And I look forward to seeing more from Retrograde Films in the future.
Perfect. Me too. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks. I'm Katie Ullman reporting for KD Chats here at Smithy TV in downtown Toronto.